Evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeff Pyle. This is a really good segue for the zoning thing. Some of you may have heard that we are planning a Canal Festival and Blessing of the Fleet this coming June. Right now we have about 70 vendors that have expressed interest to come in, and I'm getting a bit concerned and confused about the zoning issues that are going on for food vending permits and neighborhood block parties, what's got to be closed off, what has to be permitted. Is there any particular person that can answer the questions? I've talked, the zoning folks have been very helpful, and I talked to Tracy today, and she was very helpful, but everybody seems to be a bit confused. So I don't want to turn people away that are driving 100 miles if I can't get them the answers.
Jeff, would you contact my office tomorrow?
Sure.
And we'll set up an appointment for you to come in and we'll talk about it and figure out what we got to do.
Excellent. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Murphy, Norwell Road. I appreciate your comment about the sidewalks. We've tried to get to Walmart Subdivision to put sidewalks out there for years. A couple days ago, I saw somebody pushing a wheelchair down there. They've come to this town with some very precarious practices, like trying to eminent domain, and I knew a woman we didn't particularly appreciate that. I got up to ask about a question. In December '08, Tracy had brought up putting sidewalks out in front of the town hall. Now, to try to get Walmart to do that, or Walmart Subdivision to do that without doing it out front, is a little hard. I wondered what you guys thought about that.
I think it costs about $5,000 to $8,000, at least last time I knew.
I know the state's trying to get people to do that up and down the whole corridor, so it's in the town's interest to do that. I have heard that. One other question, you brought up at the last meeting, Mr. Coral, about on page 18, 224, about being able to protect ourselves in writing from that grant application and the Washington lobbyist working for Loretto, and we're partnering with them. Do we have such a document?
Such a document to protect the town?
Yes, sir.
All that was submitted was the grant application itself. There's no other legal document on the side to protect the town, and that was my point in raising those questions.
Do you think there should be one?
We received a letter,
Yeah, I sent everybody a copy of an email. I'm sure that you were included with the letter from the lobbyist indicating that he in no way will hold the town responsible for any cost whatsoever. If you didn't get it,
I got that email, and that he was not going to charge the town. And on all the applications that the town submitted, he was listed as a town of Cicero representative / government lobbyist. Therefore, so he's not going to charge the town. I don't know if Loretto's paying him or where he's getting paid from. I opposed the application on that basis because I was uncertain as to where, in fact, Mr. Horn. Well, I didn't like the fact that we had a federal lobbyist listed as a town representative on those documents. And the second question was, in the motion, it was worded as if the town was a partner with Loretto, which was a non-for-profit corporation, and I don't believe that's also proper. The town acting as a partner with a non-for-profit.
That was my question too. Is that common that everybody, that the municipality go into a partnership with, a lobbyist in Washington? Is that common?
I also sent a copy of the legislation, the federal legislation, for the grant that requires a municipality to be the applicant. I sent you. You should have a copy of that. Right. That's
They
why
can't stand on their own 2 feet and
No.
go right up into it?
That's the way the federal legislation is drawn.
That's the way they want the grant submitted. However, there's no requirement that the town have a federal lobbyist, as was indicated in those papers that were submitted.
That's his title, but he's not lobbying for it. He just made the application.
It just seems a little precarious to me. I mean,
Me too. That's why I voted against it.
I have one other question. Do you guys really believe they can put Loretto up there without a signalized intersection? I mean, you don't think there's a cross there right now from a death? I mean, I think it's a dangerous intersection with a little hill in the corner there.
I'm sorry, Tim, say it again.
Do you think that needs a signalized
Where?
intersection? Meltzer Court and Route 11 where Loretto comes in.
Skating rink there.
You don't think that needs a signalized intersection?
Could make an application to the state to see if they believe it's proper.
They are doing a continued traffic study previous to when the library and the skating rinks were put in. Part of Loretto's proposal and plans are a traffic study which includes the turning lane, and if the state does believe that it's necessary for a traffic signal light, that it will be there. But that is a state road. It's not our call.
Well, I understand. I was just asking the board.
Well, it's being considered, but it's up to the state to make it.
I think it's a public health safety hazard, really, because just the way the height is and the way the corner is, even if you reduce it to 55 miles an hour, from 45 to 55 to 45.
We all agree. We all agree. But again, it's a state call.
Is your question that there should be a traffic light, or is it there should be a speed reduction in the area?
I
or
think
both?
even if you reduce the speed limit, it's still a dangerous intersection. By putting all of those elderly people back in there and all the future development that you're talking is coming in behind it, that it would behoove this town to put a signalized intersection. Believe me, I'm not a proponent of signalized intersections. I drive through Walmarts every day and I'm annoyed by it. But the point remains the same, that it's dangerous. It's 55 on a slight curve, somebody's going to get hurt there.
Well, what we could do, and we probably get the parameters, if we want to request a speed reduction, we can make that application, but let's get before we submit that application to the state to request it, let's designate the areas, and we could talk about that. We don't want to say strictly the whole Route 11 corridor there, but if we put some parameters, we can ask the state if they can come in and do a study, and then they can, if they think it's proper, then they can we can reduce it, but we can't do it until they give us the okay.
I just don't want to see the town get into a situation where they can't afford to fix the problems they've made. For instance, 31 and 81. You can't afford to fix that. Now, if you guys are coming in with all this grant money, then use the grant money, take the infrastructure, put the intersection in first. It's kind of like putting in the pumping station for full build out, that kind of analogy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would behoove the town to do that, to fight for the intersection right up front.
No.
Thank you for your time.
Coleman from Long Point Road. I wonder if there's any consideration within the town to consolidate the Cicero Police Department with the Onondaga County, or an alternative to do away with the Cicero Police Department altogether.
That, Mr. Coleman, that was brought up at our last town board meeting, and we are looking into consolidation across all of the areas within the town. I spoke with Chief Snell and Mr. Corral, who is the liaison, myself, and several others, and we are in process of putting together, we are looking at it along with forming an advisory committee.
Sorry, I missed.
That's okay. We appreciate your interest. Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
Thank you very much.
We're looking for people to serve on the advisory committee. Did you put your name in?
No, but I would.
Okay, good.
Give me a call. With that, I believe we are to the point of comments from the engineers.
We have nothing to add at this time.
Thank you. Wayne, you're done talking tonight?
Yes, I am.
Brad, anything?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rivers, say no?
No, ma'am.
Jody? No, thank you. Shirley? Chief? Chris? Sharon? No.
Have a nice evening.